The World Trade Organization, after working overtime, giving 5 grueling days in this year's Ministerial Conference, finally came to the consensus on nearly all issues that were on the table. The key issues ranged from food security to fisheries. India, which is a major player in these sectors and had its own sets of reservations before the talks, has also nodded in favor of the larger interest of the global community.
The Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization that was held after the long 5-year hiatus turned out to be productive, as most of the agendas that were on the table for this year finally passed the consensus. The 164 body members approved a series of trade agreements this week. The agreements primarily included commitments on fish and pledges on health and food security. The deals were ground out over 5 days of bargaining at a conference of more than 100 trade ministers that was seen as a test of the ability of nations to strike multilateral trade deals. Content with the achievements of the year's developments, the Director General said the agreements that were signed were set to bring a difference to the lives of people around the world. She also praised the capabilities of the WTO to move together in order to bring change in the world. At one stage, a series of demands from India, which has been championing the rights of poor farmers and fishermen as well as developing countries, expressed its reservations. However, with minor tweaks that were accommodated by the group, India also came to consensus with the rest.
भारत अपने किसानों के लिए, अपने खाद्य सुरक्षा के लिए, गरीबों के लिए पूरी तरीके से तत्पर है, पूरी तरीके से यहाँ पे संघर्ष कर रहा है और मैं आपके माध्यम से सबको विश्वास दिलाना चाहूँगा कि भारत के लिए जो प्राथमिकता है वो है कि हमारे गरीबों को, हमारे किसानों को किसी भी प्रकार की ठेस ना पहुँचे। इसी के साथ साथ मछुआरों के लिए भी भारत ने अपनी बात अलग अलग बैठकों में रखी।
The WTO's rules dictate that all decisions are taken by consensus, with any single member able to exercise a veto. The deal on a partial IP waiver to allow developing countries to produce and export COVID-19 vaccines has divided the WTO for nearly 2 years, but finally passed. India, South Africa and a group of other countries have long been demanding for the waiver of the patents of vaccines in wake of the disastrous COVID pandemic. Millions of people in the poorest of the countries continue to be at the risk of fatal COVID owing to non-availability of vaccines.
भारत का पक्ष बहुत संवेदनशील पक्ष है। भारत की बात बहुत फेयर है, इक्विटेबल है, विश्व के हित में है और मैं समझता हूं कि आज पूरे विश्व ने ये स्वीकार किया है कि विश्व में और ज़्यादा लोगों को समृद्धि पहुंचनी चाहिए। सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स जो विश्व ने एडॉप्ट किए थे, जो 2030 का जो SDG एजेंडा, उसमें भी इस बात को रखा गया है कि हर गरीब का अधिकार है कि उसका भी जीवन अच्छा हो, प्रॉस्परस हो। और मैं समझता हूँ भारत उन फंडामेंटल प्रिंसिपल्स पे अपनी बात आधारित करता है, तो स्वाभाविक रूप से हमारी बात को वजन है और ये वजन WTO में भी देखने को मिलते हैं।
Indian negotiators appeared satisfied after the country's interests remained protected in the face of a belligerent stand taken by developed nations. Refusing to divulge the details of what all could find births in the final document, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said this could be one of the most successful ministerials the WTO has seen for a long time. In the backdrop of several foreign media reports terming India as a tumbling block at the WTO, Goyal said India had played a very constructive role in the ministerial. Goyal said India had been at the forefront of finding solutions to the issues that are dividing the world. One agreement had also been reached on Thursday on maintaining a moratorium on e-commerce tariffs, which is considered vital to allow the free flow of data worldwide. Many observers were broadly supportive and said the deals should boost the WTO, which was weakened by former US President Donald Trump's crippling of its ability to intervene in trade disputes and set it on a course for reform.